the Madman! Welcome to Top Custom Hearthstone Cards of the Week. This week, and I'm sure following weeks as well, will feature some cards from the Battle Royale card design tournament, where many teams are submitting cards for specific themes. Let's start with Vindictive Felguard, a Warlock 3-mana 3/3. This card was created for the contest according to make a epic Warlock card that would appeal to Johnny's creative players. After your hero takes damage, this attacks the enemy hero. There are a few extremely severe problems with this card. Design, 1 star. Balance, 1 star. Let me start with some class identity, which I think is the most important problem. Warlocks should not have much access to burst direct damage. It's why Power Overwhelming got Hall of Famed, why Doomguard got Hall of Famed. They're just not a class that's supposed to surprise you with damage. And Vindictive Felguard surprises you with damage, getting through taunt even. It's direct face damage. And that is a big problem, especially when you can do something as simple as Vindictive Felguard, Abusive Sergeant, Flame Imp, tap, bam, that's 15 damage. And there's even a problem with how Vindictive Felguard interacts with an opposing Vindictive Felguard. It's an infinite loop. If your Vindictive Felguard does damage to the opponent and they have a Vindictive Felguard, then their Vindictive Felguard deals damage to your hero, which means your Vindictive Felguard deals damage to their hero, and so on and so on. One potential fix to this card would be the first time your hero takes damage this turn, this attacks the enemy hero. This stops the infinite loop, it stops really big abuses of damage, but I'd still say that it's out of flavor for Warlock then. Word Magnify, 9-mana spell. Silence a minion, then give it +8/+8. It is a card that is supposed to appeal to Timmies, otherwise known as players who like playing really big things. Design, 1 star. Balance, 2 stars. I feel like this card is also wildly out of theme for Priest. We've seen many examples of Priest buffs. What do those all have in common? Not very much plus attack, much plus health. So +8 attack is really out of theme for a Priest. And I see that there's a drawback attached to this in order to bring it potentially to more Priestdom, where you silence the minion. Nice little trick that you can play on your Ancient Watcher, and then have your surprise Ancient Watcher attacking for huge amounts of damage, I'm sure. But overall, that is just a very minor drawback. Besides being very unusual in Priest, if there was a class this should be, and it should be Paladin, and then it should silence your own card, and then it would just be a boring +8/+8. So therefore the balance is a 2 star because it is really, really weak. I feel like even at 7 mana, this card wouldn't necessarily see play. We can see that Dinosize, for example, was 8 mana and didn't really see play, and potentially gave a 1/1 +9/+9. Strummer, a Paladin 5 mana 3/6 with the Chorus mechanic, which means whenever you play this card or another card with Chorus, the chorus of the card's trigger. So Strummer is a 5 mana 3/6 with Chorus, cast a random Paladin secret, and it's a Paladin card. Design, 3 stars, balance, 4 stars. All in all, I think the Chorus mechanic is slightly interesting, but very problematic. It's a type of mechanic that has to be designed so that it's weak because it's a battle cry plus. So it's a card that feeds off itself, and the other cards that fuel this card would also be fueled by future Chorus cards. So it's an exponential type mechanic. So not even linear, such as Jade's. You play a bigger and bigger effect like you play a bigger and bigger Jade, but the bigger and bigger effects stack on top of each other. I feel like Chorus is just a mechanic that is far too problematic to ever see the light of day. Now, I really shouldn't be blaming the team for this since they had to design a card with the Chorus mechanic, but I'm just pointing out that I don't like the Chorus mechanic. This mechanic builds on itself, and all Chorus cards either live together or die together, which is another problem. It's like all or nothing. Sometimes the mechanic is just bad and doesn't see play anywhere, for example, Inspire. I think that for a card with the Chorus mechanic, this is a pretty good example of what to do. Chorus clearly can't be too big an effect because otherwise, each time you play more choruses, the effects cascade and then do more and more things. A Paladin secret is fairly tame, and you'd have to keep the choruses rather tame to be less than 1 mana value of effects. Inner Focus is a priest spell. Draw 3 cards, cost as much as your opponent's hand size, and the card itself has no mana cost, and is a response to a challenge of make a card that interacts with your opponent's hand. Design 3 stars, balance 2 stars. I think the lack of mana cost is unusual and confusing. It's a little bit similar to Shifting Scroll, yes, but you never really play Shifting Scroll, whereas this card you do play. So why doesn't it just have a 0 mana cost? Also, why does it say cost as much as your opponent's hand size? It could just have a base cost, and then, similar to the Giant's wording, it could say costs 1 more for each card in your opponent's hand. I feel like that is the proper way to template this card. I do believe that this card is too powerful, because there is the potential for 0 mana to draw 3 cards, or if your opponent has an average hand size of, I don't know, 3 to 5, then this card does it better than the only other card in the game that draws 3 cards, Nourish. So this card really needs to cost something base. Maybe this should be base cost 2 mana, maybe it should be base cost 3 mana. And yes, sometimes with that kind of base cost, it would be unplayable if in the control mirror, your opponent was holding 9 cards in their hand. But that's fine. It's supposed to be a card that's not always good, and control players don't always have 9 cards in their hand even. So those are some of the first round's Battle Royale cards. Now let's look at the usual cards. Weaponsmith Faeniz, a warrior legendary, 6 mana, 6/5, battlecry, destroy your hero power, gain 15 armor. That's a really interesting design. We've never seen something destroy your hero power before. 4 stars design, balance 2 stars. So this card can be directly compared to Shield Bearer. Shield Bearer is a 6 mana, 5/5, which gains you 5 armor. Faeniz is a 6/5, which gains you 15 armor, so plus 1 attack, plus 10 armor. However, it has the slight downside of destroying your hero power. Note, you can get back your hero power by playing something such as Dr. Boom Mad Genius, or in Wild, something such as Justicar Trueheart. Given that Dr. Boom Mad Genius exists, this is especially disgusting, because you destroy your hero power, and then you play Dr. Boom Mad Genius, and bam, you have a hero power, and wow, you gained 15 armor. That is a lot of armor. Even if you were living in a meta where you couldn't replace your hero power, she's still really good because she's 7 hero powers worth of value on the amount of armor you're gaining. So skip pressing the button 7 times? Sure. Play it near the end. Play it when you're near dead. That's pretty good. I took off a point for Weaponsmith Faeniz because Weaponsmith is not the right word to use there. It's so drastically wrong that I had to take a point off of that. Armor Smith? Scrapper? Armor Scrapper? Something to do with armor. Definitely not a weaponsmith though. All in all, this card needs to be toned down a little. I do like the destroy your hero power concept. Probably print this after Dr. Boom Mad Genius has rotated out as well. Rakanishu, the Flame Lord. 4 mana 4/4, neutral legendary. If you control a lackey, at the end of your turn, deal 4 damage to a random enemy. Nice flavor. He wants to be Ragnaros, so this is a little mini Ragnaros. Design 5 stars, balance 3 stars. This is too powerful though. Unlike Ragnaros, which can't attack, Rakanishu can attack, and he comes out much faster than Ragnaros, early enough that the cards that you would play could immediately kill off the opponent's minion that is contesting Rakanishu, and then you're just snowballing from there. Especially given how powerful lackeys are and how prevalent they are in some decks, Rakanishu would be a little bit over the top. In order to therefore match Ragnaros more, I suggest simply putting can't attack on the top, similar to Ragnaros. Then Rakanishu can be happily a little Ragnaros. Chromatus. 10 mana, 5/12 dragon. Battlecry, if you're holding 5 dragons, cast the Dragonflight Essence. The black destroys all their assassins. The bronze takes an extra turn. The green adds 5 dream cards to your hand. The blue deals 10 damage to the enemy hero, and the red restores your hero to full health. Design 2 stars, balance 1 star. It's a little bit confusing why it's a 5/12, The author said, Chromatus has 5 heads. 5 head, true, but still a very unusual stat line when mirroring the dragon aspects is a 4/12 or an 8/8. What is quite concerning is the essence of the bronze. Taking an extra turn is a really big deal in Hearthstone, especially when you also put a 5/12 into play. But why stop at playing one Chromatus? Why not play a War Master Voon first, while you have Chromatus and 2 other dragons in your hand, and then you have a hand of 6 dragons, one of which is Chromatus, 2 of which are Chromatus rather, and then you play Chromatus number 1, and then on a following turn, you play Chromatus number 2, both times you take an extra turn. So your first extra turn, you hit him for 5, your second extra turn, you hit him for 10, and wow, you just gained so much tempo. The effects are simply way too big. A card that essentially says win the game when you play it is too much. Too swingy, just way too over the top feel about it. Simply put, it's too much. Bloodcurser Shanan is a legendary warlock minion, 4 mana 3/6, Battlecry. If your hero power has dealt 10 damage this game, turn your hero into a vampire. You simply stay the same amount of health and you gain the passive, your spells have lifesteal. Your hero power changes to 2 mana Vampire's Bite, deal 1 damage to a minion. If it dies, shuffle a copy of it into your deck with lifesteal. Design 1 star, balance 1 star. This is both overpowered and poorly thought out in the sense that it's an inevitable and very sad and despairing type of power where you take away all the fun from your opponent when you play your Bloodcurser Shanan and succeed, because suddenly you never die. You could play this as fast as 5 taps and then on turn 6, and then from turn 7 onwards, any AoE spell you do just gains you so much health, and Warlock has a lot of AoE. So this card may just be fundamentally wrong, and there may be no saving it, because the passive is just so disruptive, it is so cementing the win, that your opponent might as well give up. Could you theoretically balance this by raising the cost on Bloodcurser Shanan a lot? You could theoretically balance it, but it falls into the problem of it's just no fun to be up against an opponent who shrugs off your attacks at every turn, casts an AoE spell wiping you out, and then just going back to full health. Over and over again, repeatedly. The despair is soul-crushing. Let's take a look at this week's Trump card of the week. And stay tuned after the Trump card of the week, because we've got a special Trump redesign card. First, the Trump card of the week. We've got Scorching Elemental. A mage 5 mana 3/3. Battlecry, discover a card from your deck, burn it, and draw the other 2. I love the flavor of using the word burn at this point. Everyone does know what burn means. Design 5 stars, balance 4 stars. So I think that the burn it and draw the other 2 wording is quite good. The balance is a bit off. This is like Ancient of Lore, except instead of a 7 mana 5/5, it's a 5 mana 3/3. And it's just in mage, but it's better than Ancient of Lore because instead of drawing 2 cards, it draws you the best 2 cards out of 3 cards. Given that Ancient of Lore got its card draw nerfed, Scorching Elemental is a bit too generically good to simply have the text as is. My solution is simply following the elemental theme here, where the Battlecry can say, Battlecry, if you played an elemental last turn, discover a card from your deck. So basically, this card just needs the prerequisite of the same old play an elemental the turn before in order to have a powerful effect. And this card would help boost the power level of elemental decks as a result. There is a note that this may become too wordy of a card in that case, which might mean that there might be good reason to keyword the if you played an elemental last turn. And then I think that card would look great. A few videos ago, I designed my own card, and I designed that card on a rework of a different card, all the way from week 1. But this time around, we're going to both review a card from this week, as well as redesign it, because I just happen to have a stroke of inspiration on it. The card is a Dragon Slayer. It's a warrior epic weapon, 5 mana, 12/2, can only attack dragons. Design 2 stars, balance 1 star. The only reason why the design's a 2 star is because that's a really interesting idea. A weapon that is so strong against only dragons, but nothing else. this card as is would be horrifically weak, no one would ever play it. It's possible no one would even play it at 1 mana just because it's a dead card against every deck except one with dragons in it. Though the 12 attack is a really nice touch on slaying pretty much every dragon. By the way, there's a slight problem with the name as well because there's a card named Dragon Slayer, so the card has to be changed in terms of naming. So how about something that has the same spirit? How about a 4 mana 4/2 weapon deals triple damage to dragons? Brilliant. So it's a solid weapon, not bad, not great. A 4 mana 4/2 is a good baseline card. But if you are up against a dragon, then bam, go ahead and kill any dragon because this is dealing triple damage to it, dealing 12, just like the original card. That's a pretty card. We'd be using triple for the first time on a card, but some of the words have double, so triple, we can do that. I think this card would be cool in a set which had a lot of dragons in it. This is the year of the dragon, so who knows, maybe we'll see a bunch of dragons in the next set. But then again, the adventures have kind of alluded to the next set having old gods in it. So will it have dragons? We'll see. Thanks for watching this episode of Custom Cards. See you for the next one.